podcast as well, and I agree with you. I don't know why we're not really diving into man that much. Um, my theory, I actually heard a couple people talk about this, and I'll actually it makes a lot of sense. Is for the first couple games we played Daniel Jones, and we played Josh Allen, and we basically, and for what it's worth, you guys can criticize Daniel Jones all you want. He's a pretty mobile quarterback, and we've
Mm-hmm.
known to lose to RPOs with against him. And Josh Allen is known for being a scrambler. And what I was hearing was basically when you play man defense, typically you're running around with your man. Let's say your guy's taking off and you kind of run a 9 route with him or run, stick with your man and kind of go off with a slant. Your back is against the quarterback. So you're not necessarily seeing him. So let's say the quarterback wants to run around in the bootleg. You're not necessarily there to kind of corral him. So I basically, a philosophy. So what some people were saying was we have him playing zone to kind of monitor our mobile quarterbacks. And this is going to be kind of interesting because we are playing Matt Ryan this next round right now, right? So Matt Ryan's a statue, right? So this is a test of the philosophy, right?
Yeah,
are we going to play man? Are we going to be pushing, press coverage and attacking? So let's see what happens over there. So that's something to put on the.
Well, Daniel Jones went for 100 yards and Josh Allen went for over 50. So I'm not sure that the philosophy worked out real well.
Exactly right. And then Trevor, bringing it home. What do you got?
I'm kind of gonna go both players and coaches. If you take a look, the secondaries, the defensive snap counts are all over the place for the first 3 weeks. You got Landon Collins was up high, now he's down low. Kim Curl's up high. You got Bobby McCain appearing more in one game than another. It's just a mix and match, and it's like you've had off-season OTAs, training camp, preseason to kind of figure out who your guys are going to be back there, like for most of the game. So I put that on coaches because I feel like they still don't know where to put the players they have in the right spots to be successful. And then also on the player side, it's just the lack of effort, the personal stat chasing is what it looks like to the eye. It might not be it, but that's what it looks like to the viewer's eye. The linebackers, we drafted Jamin Davis, number 20 for a coverage linebacker. And
your guy.
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's just, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So I put on both players and coaches. It's a team game, so there's a team blame.
I'll exactly. That's a great philosophy. Team game, team blame. I like that. Very good, Trevor. I actually was listening to Chris Russell when I was driving home from work today, and he's like, you know what? His argument is that you can't pinpoint anybody. There's discrepancies. There's faults on every single level of the defense, the line, the linebackers, and the cornerback.
Every
right?
single.
So you can't really blame it on anyone in particular. Let's kind of pivot though, right? So for some reason or another, maybe because his draft status, or maybe because of who he is and all the media, maybe missing I don't know if you guys even care, missing minicamp, but basically Chase Young, our superstar, he's basically he's projected to take a big leap. Last year he got Defensive Player of the Year, 7.5 sacks. People were projecting 15 sacks, approaching 20. Himself and Montez were like, we're gonna break the sack record. And he's there you go, Trevor. And he's sitting there, right, at 0 sacks through 3 weeks of the season, right? So, what is your level? I'm gonna start off with you, Trevor. So, what is your level of concern? Because for everybody, what is your level of concern with Chase Young? Is it something that's going to be fixed this year? Is he going to get right pretty soon, or is this like a bigger concern? Like, oh, maybe he isn't the player that we thought he was. Like, where's your mindset on Chase Young right now? What do you got?
I'm at a 5.
Okay,
I think it's half and half. I think last year he showed the reason why he was number 2 pick, and then with all his endorsements and business opportunities in the off season, causing him to miss OTAs and stuff and minicamp, maybe that's kind of gotten to his head a little bit. And then him and Montez being buddy, trying to do the sack record. You can see that on the field too. They're both trying to just get sacks and not play a team game on defense. So, but he is a freak, man. I mean, he's a 22-year-old kid. He's a predator for Pete's sakes. I mean, he's a monster. He showed why last year. So I think it's still fixable. It's week 3. Now, if this was like week 13 and he was like this with 0 sacks, then I'd be like, okay, he's not what he was made out to be. But it's a 5 right now for me. It's either up and down. It's literally his choice from here on out. He can either go up or go down. So
I think that's a good point. And Doug, I'm gonna throw it to you in a second, but I think it's a good point. I think the fan base, the media, I think even the local fan base, like JP Finley and Ben Standig and all those guys, at their heart they actually do. And even Pete Haley, I know these guys, and I've met them before, and we followed them for years. They're from the area and they're passionate about the team, regardless of what you think of them and their coverage. So I think that they were hopeful and they had their hearts set. And like they were like, this is our shining star in Chase Young. And they're kind of having these emotional reactions. Like, he's not shining so far. And I think all of us feel that way. And it's like, it's week 3, people can get on hot streaks and kind of hit it later, hit it as things go on. But the one thing about the NFL, it's different from baseball and, NBA and hockey, all the other major sports, is that we have one game a week. So if you have one game, boom, Sunday punches you in the face, you have an emotional reaction, and all week to talk about it. So, basketball the next day, you can just, put your haters to sleep and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so maybe it's a little bit different. So, Doug, what do you think? How you feeling about Chase, man?
Well, I think they'll get it together. I think it's like a baseball player that's in a slump, and then all of a sudden you're saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm in a slump. I gotta hit the ball. And now you're overreaching, and that doesn't help. I think also, though, the interesting thing about this is I think it has more to do with where the NFL is right now. Like, we put all our money into the defensive line, and the league is showing you through 3 games will just quick throw you to death.
Yeah, that's very true.
And so you could have the best D lineman on the planet, but if they're getting the ball out in under 2 seconds, I mean, good luck hitting the quarterback. Right. I mean, Brown Payne was explosive. 11 pressures, the gaps.
Yes.
And he couldn't sniff the quarterback, and he was so close every time, but it doesn't matter because then they'll just start screening you to death. That's the only problem with guys on the edge. That's why more and more you're seeing the interior pressure guys is being more coveted, is that it's just too easy with the guys to use aggression against you and just hit that. Yeah. It takes too much discipline to be able to wait on that screen when you're looking at the quarterback,
Yeah.
Also, why the hell is Chase Young dropping back in coverage? Why do they have him doing that?
If you're going to run that 5-1-5, and I was vocal about using something like that, you're going to have to drop those guys from time to time.
One's got to go, haven't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you don't want to see it very often, though.
No, because he's awful.
But in fairness, if you're going to throw, the 2 DNs and all 3 tackles out there,